Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'll call this meeting of the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors to order. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland?
Here.
Little?
Here.
Jelka?
Here.
White?
Here.
Schwartz?
Here. Please join us in a moment of silence to reflect on today's actions. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. I would entertain a motion on the agenda as received or amended.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? The agenda is approved. We'll now move on to public comments. Anyone from the public wishing to speak at this time on something that is not an agenda item? Okay, we will move on to claims and payments.
Good morning. Claims total to $197,728.92. Everything looks normal. The larger items, engineers sold 19,000, a little over 19,000. We had conservation at 47,800. We had social services about 6,300. Health department 15,000. Maintenance 5,000. A bigger one too is medical examiner is 17,000. And everything else looks good. So
Motion to approve.
second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland?
Yes.
Little?
Yes.
Jelka?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes. We will now move on to the minutes approved from the April 21st meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions?
Does he know he passed up?
Yeah, I was going to mention that after we approved it. Can you hear us, Chris?
All right. Yes, I can hear you.
We just need to go back after those are approved and get project updates from department heads.
Oh, yes, I apologize. Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right. The minutes are approved. I apologize. I skipped over the project updates. I'm reading the agenda off another screen trying to save paper here. Jumped around. So we'll go back to receive project updates from department heads or elected officials.
Good morning, Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer.
Morning.
Morning, Kathy.
Morning.
I wanted to tell you what our maintenance crews, our secondary roads crews are out placing mile rock. We are preparing to get dust control. We are preparing roads for dust control that should be placed approximately May 15th. So we're on schedule for a normal year for that placement. In the office, we are working on plans for upcoming projects, specifically the Grundy Road paving and regrade and paving project, as well as other future resurfacings and bridges. Our contract construction work is moving along well. PCI is out on the Cedar Wapsie River Bridge replacement, as you know. They have now shifted work over to the west side of the structure, and they're building the causeway so that they can begin construction on the piers in the river from the west side. And then finally, our King Road Bridge project down south of LaPorte City, that's being done by Taylor Construction. They've been here about a week and a half now, and they are driving pile and making steady progress on that work as well. Can I answer any questions?
Kathy, your field people, are they all working or do you have some off?
They're all working with the exception of maybe one or two who have perhaps an issue with childcare.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. Rory Giving, Maintenance Superintendent. Just wanted to share with you that we do have in our maintenance department hand sanitizer. We were able to obtain, we've got 10 gallons that we've been putting in containers, pump-up containers. I think Craig had passed out quite a few throughout the courthouse the other day. We've got some smaller containers now, and Abby will be sending out an email to all the departments to let them know that that is available. We also have gloves that are available also, and our staff is in the process of hanging plexiglass throughout the courthouse. Our plans are we're going to order some more in the hopes to be able to do a few areas over at the Pinecrest facility as well. Any questions?
Thank you, Roy.
Thanks.
Any other department heads or elected officials today?
This is Afisa. Good morning, Board.
Morning, Fisa.
Good morning.
Good morning. So here at the Health Department, it's still business as usual. For COVID-19, one of the things that's going to shift a little bit for us is that the Iowa Department of Public Health will be doing the majority of our case investigations just due to the volume that we have received over the last several weeks. The highest volume of cases we've had in one day is 167. We've been averaging about 86 cases a day, so we just did not have the capacity. So the Iowa Department of Public Health sent out a communication because before we were doing the case investigations together as the volumes of cases just increased, but it wasn't practical. So it was, they've asked whether or not they should do it. So it's all or nothing. And so just in reviewing our capacity and the level of cases we're getting, the Iowa Department of Public Health, we've decided for them to do our case investigations until there's a certain level of stability. So with that said, though, we will be engaged with them thoroughly to know what's going on with the case investigations in Black Hawk County, and we'll be up to date just on a weekly basis of some of the things that they're seeing and what we need to do here more locally. So that's one. The second thing is that we continue to just look at strategies in terms of communicating with the general public to ensure that there's no confusion between what some of the recommendations are for other counties and within our region. So that's very important, especially with yesterday, some of the counties opening, their restaurants and their malls at 50%. We have to emphasize that right now for Black Hawk County, it's still the stay at home that's important to do. So that's where we're at. We're constantly engaged with our local providers to just have a better understanding of where they are in terms of their test kits and their needs. And just supporting them as we continue to deal with this situation. So that's where we're at. Our cases, as you all have seen, we are at 1396, which is incredibly high. That's 1% of the population in Black Hawk County. And this is, again, cases that are confirmed and symptomatic. So we will continue to do our best, and just bear with us. One of the things about surveillance is that the more you test, the more you find. So it's good that we're testing and we're finding, but it's also important that people continue to really stay at home and limit their social gatherings, just the individuals. As I'm not sure if most of you listened to the press conference yesterday where the medical providers were talking about, individuals that have tested positive but are asymptomatic, and at times they're not even aware that they're low on oxygen until things become more dire medically. And so it's just very important as supervisors to keep emphasizing that stay-at-home message as much as you can. I want to thank the county engineer's office for lending us their GIS employee, Shane, who's going to help us a little bit do more of the data mapping, and we will publicly share what we can with the county. So thank you.
Nafisa, I just had a question. There was some confusion yesterday of the governor's orders, particularly the religious services, whether that applied to just the 77 counties or if that was statewide. I was wondering if you had any more clarity yet today on that.
Yeah, so Tony and I spoke. The Des Moines Register clarified that it's all, she indicated that it was for all 99 counties. And that's something very difficult for us here locally because, religious services are one of the places that people do go and congregate. And also, if you look at populations within the religious services, you have also a huge number of elderly populations that are there. So we've been asking we've had calls at the EOC from church leaders that have been very, they've been impacted on that message just because they're concerned for their congregation. And so I think for us it's to continue to emphasize that county-wide we're not there yet. We are still seeing an increase, and so people do need to continue to stay at home. And if religious services can really can continue to do the Zoom and the conferences using technology, that's the best approach at this moment. But she did indicate even within religious services to be able to practice social distancing and then just find methods in which people can gather 10 or less. But I feel that's very difficult. As much as one thinks it's possible, human behavior, we know in public health doesn't change overnight. It's very hard. So I will continue to emphasize the, stay at home as much as possible. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other department heads or elected officials today?
Chris, Mike Hendrickson, County Conservation. Just a quick update with our staff and where we are. Basically, our park systems, as far as campgrounds and shower facilities, restroom facilities, they are all put together and ready to go. Obviously, we'll be waiting for a while here until we're given, the go-ahead, but they're all ready to go. Park rangers have pretty much changed their focus towards taking care of the growing grass at this point. Our naturalists and our staff at Hartman are working on online programming, which has been very, very popular, and they're reaching out to as many people as they can to give these programs if they would like them. But that's going really, really well, and they're continuing to try to be innovative with that. Obviously, our office staff is here every day with phone calls, messages, and things like that. Maintenance staff is working on, we have some gravel roads to deal with in parking lots. They're taking care of those right now, and they've got a lot of those done. And our wildlife guys are busy with our pollinator planting. So everybody is moving forward. The weather's been very favorable, so we're doing well.
So I've seen some of that online programming. It's very good. I appreciate it. Any other department heads or elected officials today? We'll move back on in the agenda. We are now up to the consent agenda. This will be approved by a single resolution.
So moved.
Is there any consent agenda anyone wishes to discuss?
Second.
I learned to understand you much better.
right. If not, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Yeah,
So moved.
and second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. Consent agenda is approved. Next is a resolution that best bid received from Young Plumbing and Heating, Waterloo, Iowa, for the jail boiler project with $523,700. Be approved. Chair signed the contract, conditional to the receipt of the certificate of insurance and a performance bond as recommended by Roy Given, Maintenance Superintendent.
Are you going to speak to it, Rory? Just a
So
moment.
moved.
Second. In just one
All right, it's
moment.
been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion or questions?
Rory's
I got a
gonna
couple
explain
questions for
things.
Just a
Rory.
second.
Rory's
Yeah.
gonna
Very good.
explain things.
Okay, board, just to give you a bit of a recap on this project, when we budgeted this over a year ago, a couple of things were identified in the recommendation letter that was provided by Capon Engineering. Those items, particularly the size of the boilers. I will mention that this was a very complex project when we put this together. We've got some challenges ahead of us with regards to implementing this new boiler system with very minimum downtime, essentially no downtime to the jail with regards to hot water. We're looking at doing this project in 3 different phases. Ultimately, that involves a good deal of labor to accomplish that. I would like to also mention when we plug the numbers in for this new boiler system, we are projecting a 23.8% savings, which equates to approximately 2.3 million BTUs per year of a reduction. That equates to approximately $14,000 a year of savings for our gas usage. Any questions?
Rory, originally, is this original equipment?
2 out of the 3 boilers are original. One of the boilers back in the very early 2000s, they had a pretty major failure on one of the boilers, which was replaced. It's the same boiler as the other 2 original ones, but it was updated at the beginning of like 2001, I believe.
And we're replacing this one because?
We're replacing all 3 of them because they've hit the end of their useful life.
Are they operational?
They are, yep.
Or just replaced them because they're old?
Right. And we have had some mechanical failures throughout the years that we've addressed. This project also includes replacing the domestic hot water heaters, which will tie into the new boiler system. So a very efficient system is what we're proposing.
You mentioned 3 phases.
Three different phases because there's 3 boilers. So
And what kind of timeline do you think then will probably be?
once we get started, it'll go fairly quickly, but there is quite a lead time for the new equipment, and right now we're looking at about 4 weeks. That could be impacted somewhat with the COVID-19.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rory, what's the improved efficiency again? It's much more efficient.
Much more efficient. They're condensing boilers, which is a great improvement. What we came up with is about 23.8%, which equates to 2.3 million BTUs reduction for the year, which about $14,000 a year is what we're projecting for cost savings.
That whole system has soft water going through it, right?
Only the domestic hot water. Yeah.
So that saves on the wear and tear on it too.
Absolutely. And we did upgrade those water heaters here about, I want to say about 4 years ago. We put new, not water heaters, softeners.
Yeah, that one we replaced was
Yeah.
when I was a supervisor the first time.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Correct. Any more questions?
Thank you, Rory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, board, any more discussion or questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Where I have
So
it.
moved.
We did a motion and a second already.
All right, okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes. Next is under other business. This is a resolution that the amendment to the Blackhawk County Deferred Compensation Plan permit coronavirus-related distributions made under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, otherwise known as the CARES Act of 2020, be approved. Direct the chair to sign for the same.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion or questions?
We'd have the HR director talk a little bit about what this is for.
In a minute.
She's not here.
Have to
I'm
unmute.
There you go.
There.
This is Debbie.
Oh.
Okay, so basically this is so that people can take a distribution from their 401 or from their deferred comp without penalty, and they have, let's see, just trying to explain it in a way that makes sense, but basically, so they can take up to $100,000 of a distribution. They can take it all at once, or they can take it over a matter of time. The 10% early withdrawal is waived, and the 20% partial lump sum have also been waived. So this will apply to not only our nationwide plan. There's one form that you'll sign. We've just done an opt-in for that, and then they will work on a plan amendment and get that back to us. And one, we have our old deferred comp plans that are frozen that people, when we went with this new one, we still have plans out there that this will affect.
Was this a recommendation from Perspective or who?
This is from Matt Ring. He was the one that brought it to our attention, and when for nationwide, and we also felt like we should do the same thing for our old plan, because although people aren't contributing to them anymore, we still have people out there. There's another component that will be part of the eventually when nationwide brings us the there's another part of it that's just actually automatic. That'll be it's called the RMD, which is required minimum distribution. Apparently the IRS gave plans until 2023, I believe, to actually update their plans. In the meantime, it is actually in place. So that will be coming later as well. And once we get that language, we'll probably ask to update our county plan as well with that we'll mirror that same language.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I believe we have a motion and a second. Need further discussion or questions? Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes. Next is a resolution that the county auditor be authorized and directed to transfer $77,696.36 from the 17 bond proceeds to the debt service fund for fiscal year 20. Be approved as recommended by James Perry, Finance Director.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Or James, did you wish to add anything?
I don't necessarily need to add anything other than the fact that I'd reached out to each of you individually right around, I believe it was October, November, that time frame. We have $77,696.36 left over in our 2017 bond proceeds. Every project is completed, so we need to do something with those funds. Transferring it to debt service is just going to allow us to pay that debt load down at a quicker pace if need be. But since we don't have any other projects that are tied to this bond, we need to get those out of there and into debt service. So I can yield any questions if you'd like.
James, could it be used for anything other than debt service?
Well, we need to do something with it, and if because they're bond proceeds, we actually have to reallocate it if we have a project in mind. if we would like to go down that road, we can. In my opinion, $77,800 doesn't amount to a whole lot when we have our reserves the way we do. So I would, and typically it's best practice when you have a project with a certain bond. Best practice is to use those bond dollars for that project and then be done with it. So since we are doing that, I would highly suggest doing that. But
if we were to use that money for another project, wouldn't we have to have another public hearing?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, do we have any other discussions or questions today? All right, is there a motion on the floor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Strelka,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. The next is discussion, possible board action, to discuss county preparedness for COVID-19. I know an issue, so we're seeing that tomorrow would be the expiration of the latest 2-week extension on administrative leave. I'd recommend that we extend that another 2 weeks. I'd like to hear from this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Chris. Another 2 weeks. The only thing I think from here on out, that when we extend it for whatever period we're going to do, we also have it part of the motion that the supervisors have the right to end that prior to the 2 weeks. In other words, we got to a point where we needed to bring them back, and it was in that period we could do it.
And I'd add to that, I think we could get the notification overnight practically. Are we ready to turn on a dime and get people back to work? And I do agree with Tom. I think that should be added to the motion so we can turn on a dime. I think a lot of us are getting stir crazy. I'm anxious to get back in the office. I think many of us are, and I think we're getting pretty close to that point. I don't know how far down the road it is, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe less than that.
Well, I guess my comment would just be that I'm assuming that our department heads and elected officials are already considering what plans they'd be making and changes they'd be making in their departments were people to come back. Not that they'll be overnight, but they have some time to prepare for that. Because no doubt we're going to be living a little bit differently even when we do, as far as social distancing and taking extra precautions. So having full staff, I think, is something that we want to be prepared for, but we certainly need plans in place, and I don't know if that's in a week or two.
Linda, we can also possibly, when we bring them back, maybe have our employees back for a day or two.
Oh, for sure, before the public.
Open up the courthouse.
Yes. I assumed that we probably want to try to do it slowly when we do it and not open to the public, get everybody back in place first, but every department.
I heard from some employees that basically, I think a lot of them, I wouldn't say a lot of them because I don't know, it's quite a few, but they are ready to come back, some of them.
Yep.
I am.
But the main thing is, if we keep extending this, we also have the right to pull the plug at any time.
Oh, we know we need to see a decline in our case numbers, and that's going to be a while. So,
it's probably going to be a long, long time. But the question is, in the meantime, do we come back to work or do we stay out all summer or what?
well, I kind of like considering that in my own mind a week at a time, even though now I know it needs to be extended 2 weeks, but I thought just taking it.
I don't have a problem with the 2 weeks as long as we have in the motion that we can pull the plug at any given time, whether it be a week, 2 days, 3 days, whatever.
Oh.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion or questions?
And then the only thing is, Chris, obviously that'd be done at a board meeting if we did make any decision. You're really looking at weekly.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that's everybody's understanding.
Yeah.
Extension of 2 weeks, but the board does have the ability to take action in a board meeting to change that. All right. All those in favor, just signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, the motion carries. I know we also did have we had an email from Linda Nigels about some stickering and signage they'd like to move forward with. It all seemed appropriate to me, and maybe something we would want to do for the whole courthouse and maybe Pinecrest as well. So did anybody have any issues or concerns with the stickers or signage that were sent to us?
As long as Rory approves it, because we don't want to clutter a bunch of signs, so I have no problem, but if Rory doesn't either, but we don't want to clutter a bunch of signs all over the place either.
Chris, I didn't catch what you said, neither did Grant.
Oh, there was an email sent to us from Linda Nichols about some stickers they'd like to place on the floor for when they do open back up. To encourage social distancing, and there's some other signage they wanted to add as well.
And I think it's a great idea. It's obviously an option for not having just pieces of tape all over the building. I've seen places where they've had to do that, and that's helpful, but much better and more professional, I think, to have the actual stickers there. So they were going to use them in their offices at this time, but I think it's something to consider.
Mr. Chair?
Would we like to have Rory take a look at those and possibly order them for the whole courthouse?
Is there a cost involved in this?
It looks pretty minimal. Let me see if I can pull up her email on.
You're going to have wars all the time about it. That stuff that they got at IV, people come down the wrong way and they get almost getting a fist fight coming down the aisle.
We're not going to change direction. I think it was just to stay back 6 feet. And
Is this before the courthouse open, all these stickers, or is this for when the courthouse opens?
This would be getting them in place before we open, but this is in anticipation of when things would be open to the public.
Okay.
You'd be better off limiting the number of people in here at a time than the number of people that are coming into any one office. That'd be the best way to do it.
We may want to do that too.
Well, we can definitely discuss that. I think it's not an either or option. Things can be done.
No, it's not working in the stores. I know that because I've got complaints from people at Casey's, Quick Star, and Walmart that said, "Why were we so concerned about the big industry out there when we got little businesses that aren't wearing face masks, aren't doing anything? The employees aren't wearing face masks. There's no protection for the people at Casey's, Quick Star, and Walmart whatsoever."
Well, in this case, we'll be the ones responsible for enforcing it, though, so we can have some say in that, don't you think?
Now, to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever recalled lines on every department down every hallway over the years. So I think it's a little different than the Walmarts and the Casey's.
That ain't what I'm saying. You're gonna see lines, believe me. Yesterday, there was 112 people wanting to come in the courthouse.
And Tom, to answer your question on the cost, it looked like if you bought them at 25 of these stickers at a time, I am not sure this is I think this is the per set price of $39.15. We can verify that.
Are they just taped?
What was that, Chris? You broke up.
Linda did send us a price list, and it looked like if you were buying 25 or more of these, it was maybe $39 each for these stickers that are.
Is she paying for them? She sent the list. Are they paying for them, or?
I believe that I believe that was her intention.
Yeah. No, I don't have no problem.
I think she was just providing it so we had a problem with the stickers. Yeah.
Chris, is this something that could be shared with the other department heads in the building?
Yeah, I'll send you that email.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grant.
I think we thought we'd let them try it first and everybody could see it, but yeah, that'd be another way to do it too.
See what each department head wants to do.
Yeah, I mean
you'll be affected, Rita.
One concern about waiting and letting them try just the accessibility of these things and knowing there could be a high demand.
Well, I didn't mean when they were in place for the public, Chris. I was just thinking once they had them installed, if people really want it. But if we can do them cheaper by a larger order, that's good too. So.
Right. Okay. We'll just communicate to Linda that we don't have a problem, and then Rory, this is something we could take a look at and maybe us a plan of how many we need for the whole courthouse and hospital as well?
You're cutting out a lot, Chris. But Rory's got it. He's shaking his head. He's got it.
He understands that.
Very good. All right, do you have
Just
any other items anyone wishes to discuss today?
The only thing I'd like to say is, Chris, you know, obviously it's a good thing that's going on at Tyson's, getting all that testing done and closed down finally. And I hope eventually someday they'll clean that facility up and we'll have healthy workers that can go back in there. But on the other side of the coin, too, our rural areas, we got a lot of the pork producers, farmers, feed suppliers, truckers that are going to take a large impact for quite a while. So I think we should keep in mind, too, that we need to maybe possibly see if we can seek assistance for them people also, whether it be through the state or the federal government. I did see the Courier had an article on that the other night, that they're seeking that. But there's going to be quite an impact with our rural people, too.
Oh, for sure. I think the sooner we can get the
I've
plant
been
cleaned up.
discussing with our federal legislators to make sure it's included in future relief packages. But I've heard from producers that, you know, when Tyson's does open back up, and that it's going to be really the large corporate operations kind of have the sweetheart deals and they're first in line, and it's going to be the smaller family farmers that suffer most. And so, it was absolutely necessary that facility close.
You bet.
We need to keep communicating what we hear on behalf of family farmers, make sure that they are put to the front of the line in any federal relief packages that come.
Yeah, and it's not only the farmers too, Chris. It's the trickles down to the feed suppliers in our area, the trucking outfits that contract. So it affects a lot of people other than just the pork producers. So
absolutely,
I think my thoughts on that are just the sooner we can get that plant up and running and people back to work and all of our people healthy, the better. So.
Well, for all the trickle down, I hope as a board, as we proceed forward, we can be mindful in our policy decisions.
To discuss later, I
Farmers
guess.
are killing their pigs, chickens.
You know, with the weather getting warm, it's going to be harder and harder to harness all the people, because you can see on TV what's going on right now, and it's going to get nice out, and people have been in a long time. So
yeah, the good and the bad of it.
A long ways to go.
Yeah. In the winter, we are forced to stay inside. We have the luxury now of getting outside, but it also is what makes us want to do summer activities. So, yeah.
And we see it right around here.
I see Rita at the podium.
Hi, guys. I talked to James, and I didn't know when to bring this in, if it was he was concerned about the revenue. So I was just going to bring up that too. Comparisons to last year with the changing of the due dates for when property taxes are due, and it got changed again from yesterday till May 27th now for property taxes, car renewals, the whole thing. So with that extension, he kind of wanted to get an idea of what we are going to see as far as this budget year. Last year in April, when we sent out the delinquent notices, we were around a $6 million behind. Right as of now, we're 11 million. And with that extension, that has delayed our delinquent tax notices going out, which was kind of a push for people to get paying. We'll move the tax sale from June to another month, which will throw us into the next budget year. We are probably going to have 2 tax sales within 1 year. It will happen. It's just that it's going to be delayed. So it does affect what this budget year that we're finishing here. So James had kind of wanted me to just bring that up, that it's out of our control that way, but we are behind. But with the extensions, that's why the delay of that. But we will be having the tax sale and the delinquent notices and that going out at a later time. So just as a...
Rita, the reason I brought that up last week was, and obviously you said the key word also, it's not only going to be this fiscal year budget, it's going to be the first few months of the next year's budget, FY21. I haven't heard yet from James on what he found out throughout all the departments, and it's no fault of any department, a loss of revenue. Mm-hmm. We all know that. My intent in all this is to make awareness to all the departments that revenues are going to be down for this fiscal year and probably going into the next fiscal year, and therefore I want them to all be conscious that if there's some projects that are currently in their budget or in their new one that we can hold back and get by with, let's do that. So we can kind of make this a little bit easier transition when the revenues are down, because it's a given that's going to happen. Okay. So the key point is make sure the departments are aware of that, keep an eye on their budgets, and if they can move some monies around within, then that's what we need to do.
James, were you going to prepare something or speak to that today, or what?
No, so yeah, I was just wanting to make sure that I could have a second to talk to you. I was going to chime in here in a little bit, but Rita beat me to the punch. So after speaking to the departments, frankly, we are tracking pretty well. Rita's department, as far as taxes, we are roughly that $5 million behind or delayed. In speaking to Rita, we feel like this money is going to be coming in, but it's just going to be probably not reflective on this fiscal budget or this fiscal year, but next fiscal year. So we feel like it's going to come in. Some of the lost revenue is $130,000 that we aren't going to get from the private registrations for the tax sales. Again, we kind of anticipate having 2 tax sales in FY21 to kind of have those funds come back. But right now we're tracking at 71%. Typically we'd be right around 80%. A lot of this is going to be determined on how long we're in the state. Frankly, if we're opening up in 15 days or slowly opening up in 15 days, that's going to drastically help it. For instance, conservation, I know Mike's on here and he can talk a little bit better about that, but campground revenue is just not coming in. But if we open up in a few days, spring is their busy time, so that's going to be money coming in. Right now, like I said, we're at 71%, and then as far as intergovernmentals, we're at 83%, so right on track. Again, the large item on that is the $5 million that we're a little bit behind on for taxes. So, if we're starting to kind of make that turn here in about 15 days, I don't see a large impact on revenues, but it's really going to depend on what May looks like. So we'll know a lot more later on, but frankly, right now we're tracking pretty well. Spoke to Sheriff's Department. Looks like just the difference is they're losing out roughly about $20,000 a month for room and board, the income counter, those licensing, those kind of services. When I spoke with Sandy, her department is essential, so she's still making the revenue. She's losing out on a lot of passport income. So, like I said, it's really going to depend on where we come out at the end of this fiscal year, depending on the next 14 days. But right now, we're frankly tracking pretty well.
The only thing, James, that taxes and stuff, that'll bother me. That's behind, and it's going to come in.
Yep.
The key that I'm looking at more is the revenue that won't be coming in is going to be lost to revenue.
Yep.
The room and board you're not going to make back, James. Even if you fill the jail back up, you lost that. Parks, if you don't get online, that revenue's lost.
Yep.
Fine collections, we get a piece of that from the county attorneys. That's going to be lost. So the taxes, the probably passports will really go down too because people want to be traveling. But the taxes I'm not concerned about. It's more the revenue that we're going to see later than sooner. That's just lost revenue that you're not going to recoup.
Yep.
And that's what I want everybody to be aware of because Blackhawk County was late coming in the cases here. And I think we're going to be late coming in a lot of things. We got a ways to go yet. So probably a lot of this lost revenue is going to show up more in the next fiscal year than it would in this one.
Right.
Yeah,
Taxes will come back,
Kathy had
recorder will
mentioned
come
last
back
week.
with permits.
Kathy had mentioned last week
What
that it was
actors-
about the 25% that was going to be a difference, or they were projecting at least from the roads. We've got local option sales tax and gas tax and Blackhawk gaming, all those things that impact our revenue.
Yep.
All the grants that I think, I don't know, hopefully they won't impact from a health department and conservation.
You know, the sheriff has allocated a lot of that room and board for full-time sheriff in the courthouse and different things like that. And that room and board's going to take a big hit.
But I think, yeah, that is something we're going to have to take a really close look at how much.
Yes, we are.
It's not just percentages.
I encourage people. I've been in relationship with Congressman Eikenhower's office. There's a lot of debate right now over a relief package that would give assistance to state and local governments. It's a big sticking point in the Senate right now, and so I know that the Congresswoman Eikenhower is advocating for this assistance. I would just encourage, if anybody has a relationship with either one of our two senators that are part of the majority party in the U.S. Senate, to be communicating this issue to them as well, just the importance of there being some assistance to state and local governments as they debate the upcoming additional packages.
Yeah, and Tom,
I'd just like to say one more thing too, with all what we just talked about. Don't forget one bit that Big Brother, the state, they're looking at the same thing as loss of revenue, gas tax, and all that stuff. And you know where it's going to end up. It's going to end up on our doorstep when they have all these cuts up at the state, and it's coming.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Do we have any further discussion on COVID preparedness?
Rita's coming. Rita's coming.
I'm back, guys. When we were talking about when we do open, just putting in what we've kind of discussed for the treasurer's office, because we're going to have a large group of individuals coming in because they want their black and white plates, they want the personalized plates, they have sales for private sale on cars. We were talking about having either like a soft open where only people with appointments that we would set up, that they would come in to get some control on how many people are coming in, because with the main floor lobby being busy with the clerk of courts and with everybody coming in on the first floor, and then our office being a little restricted with the entrance, working with Rory, he's putting up the plexiglass, it looks great. He's done a wonderful job that way. We're going to look into that more, and it seems like that's what a lot of the treasurers are doing the appointments or having some type of control. So just kind of letting you know that we are looking into it, and those are some of the things that we're discussing to possibly do. So
how long are you talking, Rita, when you talk about a soft opening?
Like you said, bring the people back first. Bring the employees back first, because right now we're only like half staff that we bring. We rotate because we're trying to keep up with the dealer work, so we don't get behind with that. And so when we can set up for appointments and that, so first bringing the employees back in for those few days or so, like you were discussing. And then the soft open could be, and it doesn't have to be for the whole courthouse. It would just be that we would be setting up appointments for our situation in our office, and that's where the appointments would be first. You have to have an appointment to come in, and then actually once we get a good feel of how the flow would be, then open it up, because once we open the doors and say treasurer's office is open to the public, we're going to have lines. And that 6-foot distancing, and then into the lobby, and where they're going to go, I don't have an answer for that. And I do know that some treasurers, the boards there, are not discussing anything about it. It's not their worry, and so they're a little frustrated. But I said our board, I'm sure, will work great trying to make it a good flow. So just giving an input is what the treasurer's office is thinking about. And that soft opening, I don't know if it's called a soft opening. All the restaurants have soft openings where they have a few people in, try out the food and see if it's any good. Maybe that's kind of the thought I'm putting out there as a soft opening, giving us like a week, get appointments done, getting something flowing, and then actually open the doors and say, come on in. So just as input.
I think a week is probably appropriate. This is eventually we're going to get there, but this is going to go all year as far as this distance socializing.
Yes.
But also, with that said, we got to get back to normal working hours at the courthouse.
Rita, I have a question for you.
I could agree with your soft week of opening, but eventually you're going to have the employees here. We need to get the people back in.
I have a question for Rita. I was going to say, you've done a lot of online transactions. Would it help to continue those or do more of those than we had done previously?
Right now with the paying of taxes and the license renewals and that, they can do that online, they can mail, they can put it in the Dropbox. The issues that we're having more of is the private sales, because they call and they say, well, I just bought this from my neighbor, what do I do? And there's applications that have to be filled out. We are working with them over the phone, trying to explain, getting the forms to them, but then the public sends it back and forgets to send the check. Or they send the application back and they didn't sign it. Or they send everything back but don't send the title in. So there's that correspondence back and forth, which takes time on the phone and also in handling in the office. So those private sales are the ones that we'd like to get appointments, get them in, get them out, and work with them a little bit more, because there is more paperwork. If you go to a dealer's going to take care of it, and we're working with the dealers on that. But the private sales, the motorcycles, the weather's nice. I got a motorcycle and I want to use it right now. We're trying to do our best via mail, because that's all we have with those transfers, or they coming in. And like I said, those black and white plates and the personalized plates, and we got probably a couple hundred, 200-300 of them downstairs that we haven't even sent out letters saying they're here, because they're biting at the bit to get those too. So those we've been trying to work around too, but we can't issue them because the plate they have on the vehicle is current, and they just can't take them off and throw them away. They got to turn those in to get the others. They have to swap out. And there you have interaction. If they come up to the curb and you do it, you're doing that. So some county treasurers are doing that, meeting them out in the car, but then that social distancing is lost there. And so that's another thing that we're looking into, but we'll see. Those plates are not essential. They have plates on their car now. We can get it to them in a fairly good fashion once we do open. But those are things that we're talking about. And maybe nobody will show up. You never know.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Does anyone have anything else they wish to add to the COVID-19 discussion today? All right, move on to...
Hi, this is Nafisa. Can I add?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself doubly. So one of the things, and thank you, Tom, for your comment. I just wanted to also let the board know I was in communication with Tyson Corporate over the weekend, and they had their senior vice president of health and safety who communicated some of the protocols that they're implementing. They're trying to implement into the plant. They hired 2 additional contractors, one that's going to help them with an environmental risk assessment, and the second who's going to assist them in terms of conducting routine testing of individuals within the plant. And so they also communicated with me that they share, their concerns as well in terms of employee safety. So they're going to try their best to coordinate and work with the state and local health officials. The testing was done through their occupational health medical director. So they're the ones that are going to communicate the testing to the testing of the results to the employees. But I do know that they're just trying to work in terms of strategies of what to implement within the plant. And they've communicated this is not just something they've seen here in Blackhawk, but nationally, but emphasized greatly their concerns. They shared a mutual concern for employee safety. And so I don't even know when the reopening will occur. But these are right now some of the logistics that they're working on within the plant.
I think that's positive, Nafisa. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll move on to reports or information from the board. I would just like to extend my condolences to the family and friends and loved ones of the 11 folks that have passed in our community from COVID-19 thus far. And I would also like to recognize that today is the 31st annual Workers' Memorial Day. I know many of us would usually be going out to the Labor Temple to participate in services today, recognizing people who lost their lives on the job in this past year. And Workers' Memorial Day was founded on the anniversary of the day when OSHA was passed, as to recognize people who either lost their jobs, were injured, disabled, or made ill in the workplace. And a day like today could never be relevant. And you know, like I said, many of us would usually be going out to the Labor Temple this evening to honor this. But there is, in place of that, there is a statewide virtual event organized by the Iowa Federation of Labor. And you can find that information on their Facebook page and participate. I believe it's at 6 o'clock this evening. All right. Any other reports or information today? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Everybody wants to stay, Chris.
Yes, they're gone.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Sandy,